feel like leading up to starting this particular podcast recording, we've been very dilly-dally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
energy seems a bit, it's not necessarily, like, we're vibrating at a high, but the energy just seems very, like, what is the word that I'm, like, mellow?
I don't know, but you're just
doing a line, like a constant.
A line. You're doing a line?
I'm not doing a line. I'm motioning with my hands that I'm, like, drawing a line.
Wow, Rach. Welcome.
Yeah. Hi, Krystyn.
What? Welcome
to Two Mystic Mamas. I never know if we're going to go or if we're going to...
I know, we just make weird eye contact and raise eyebrows at each other a lot. I did have some feedback from another podcaster, and he was sharing with me. Now, they do their podcast live, and they're on video, and they use hand signals to talk to each other while they're recording.
Okay.
So if the other person is just kind of like running along on something,
yes,
they'll use 2 thumbs up.
You got your point across, move the fuck on.
Right. Yeah,
okay.
100%.
Yeah.
But on video, it comes across, you're doing a great job, but they know to move the fuck on.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that's good. I think we should come up with some hand signals to use.
Like in softball. Right. Coming in hot. I'm going to throw you a curveball.
Yeah, I didn't play softball.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't allowed.
Okie dokie.
This is for real.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Are you ready for this bullshit?
Yes.
I don't know that anybody's going to be ready for this.
Wait, should we talk about what we're talking about today? And then lead into it with a story? Because a lot of our shadow self and a lot of our fucking ego stems from the childhood into adolescence and then into adulthood.
Right. So we are talking about just what she said. We're just talking about the ego and our shadow selves and how to work through all of that to really get to our highest good, right? Where we're being more cosmocentric, right, than egocentric.
Yep.
And what that looks like in terms of living your life day to day and your spiritual practice and parenting and all of that.
I'll just go out on a limb and say it's not easy work. It's beneficial, but it's where you take a really deep look at what triggers you and different areas that you have a challenge with to be a better version of yourself.
Right.
So everyone has an ego, and it just comes with this human experience that we have. And then, a lot of times ego is centered around the root chakra because it's the closest chakra to this human experience in our physical form. The root chakra is the closest chakra to the ground. And so this is where you have everything associated with this materialistic world that we live in. And so you're talking about your home, your earthly belongings, your security, your financial well-being, just the things that you need to survive as a human is all centered around and structured around the ego. And that's why the ego is also associated with fear and anxiety and some of the lower frequency feelings that, you sometimes have to work to get out of the way so you can move forward and platform yourself into a higher dimensional plane.
Right. And a lot of times it has to do with the fear of being vulnerable, right? Or a fear of abandonment. And we come across or we project our need to be right or, our facade, right? That we put out there, which is our ego in order to try and protect ourselves. And a lot of times we are attaching our personal value to something that is outside of ourselves, whether that be material things or relationships, our children, right? How they're performing. Right. These are all ways that we are placing too much personal value outside of ourselves and living in a place of ego. Right. as parents, I know that we all have our fears. We all have our vulnerabilities, maybe places that we, I don't know, feel we fell short or what. But then there's just some wild shit that happens. And so we're going to wrap right back into the story of why Krystyn wasn't allowed to play softball.
Yes.
So my sister came out. I mean, I knew she was a lesbian. They were 10 years apart. And I knew from the time I was very little. There was just not like a question. And she would take me to parties with her when she was like 15. And I knew she had a girlfriend and whatever.
And you were 5?
Yep. Listen, Krystyn had a wild childhood.
Can't play softball, but you can go to...
Right. I mean, I wasn't supposed to be there. She was like sneaking out of the house with me. But and she played softball.
Okay.
And when I was older and I wanted to play sports, I was told no. And my father
oh my God. Please tell me that.
Told me, are you ready for I was
no.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That it was scientifically proven
that it would make you gay.
It would make you a lesbian.
Oh my God. Oh my fucking God.
Oh my fucking God. I was like, and I was like her biggest advocate my whole life, right?
Sure.
I would go hard for that at a very early age.
Yeah.
So my head fucking exploded when I heard him say this. I'm like, oh.
But you knew too that it was a bunch of bullshit.
Right. But when you're not allowed to do something.
No, I know.
Right.
Yeah. Okie dokie.
So when we talk about placing too much,
That's what they say about Subarus. If you drive a Subaru, you're probably gay.
To be fair, a really good friend of mine has a Subaru and she named it Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh my God. That just, you got to find the humor in it because you have to be able to laugh about that shit.
Right,
but like,
it's not funny when somebody actually thinks that way.
No, totally. And listen, no one who's listening to this podcast that is of our age is not going to have at some point associated the fact that there are softball players that also just happen to be gay.
Right.
That shit exists. And it's more common with women's sports than it is with men.
100%.
But that's going to start changing too.
Right. 100% it is. And I mean, again, if you were born in the 80s, you have probably heard this, witnessed this, experienced this kind of bullshit.
It makes me sad that, we put those generalizations on women that are athletic of a certain sport.
Right.
Anyways.
I think it happens with women's basketball all the time too.
Basketball, softball, soccer.
Have you seen that in the wrestling world? I mean, women are more new to wrestling, so maybe not.
No, I would say I don't have enough experience to have associated that. But
first of all, there's nothing wrong with being fucking gay. So this is my first problem with it.
Well, no, of course.
Right? So this is even an issue.
Right.
If, God forbid, I would have also turned out.
And it makes you gay. This is like
a homosexual.
Yeah, this is like the same bullshit where it's like you have to go to some camp to be ungay. Like, no and no. I just unfollowed a motherfucker from high school because he put...
Sorry, chef.
Yeah, sorry. Not sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry, chef.
He had posted something about, because it's Pride Month. It just started. And it was in the middle of Pride. If you put Pride Month next to each other, he highlighted the word demon from the end of Pride and the beginning of month. And I was like, ew. And that's all I said was ew. Like, and then he was like, and he thought I was saying ew, like in agreement with him. And I couldn't even bring myself to fucking engage.
Who was this person?
This kid from high school.
Oh, okay.
And on Facebook, I saw it on Facebook, and he's a holier than thou, God rearing all of the things. And this is the kind of bullshit. Like, I'm like, oh my God, there's nothing kind. There's nothing loving. Like, that is not the God that I know. The God that I know created us as equals, and that everybody can love whoever they want to love. And we are all programmed in the own unique way that we're programmed. And that is all good. All good.
Right.
Okay. So it's very simple for me, very cut and dry, but I also will just not subscribe or get down or support people of that doctrine, if you will. So I immediately was like, blocking you. Like I just blocked him and I just unfriended him. I was like, no, we're not even engaging in this.
Right.
I can't even. Nope. Mm-mm. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. I know this is going to come out way after
Pride. Yeah.
I think we're about 5-6 weeks.
Yeah.
Something like that on our turnaround right now because we've been pumping them out.
Yeah.
Which is so great.
Yeah.
We're just really trying to plan and prepare for us to have vacations and successful episode launches and just continue to bring out content, supports the post-production time when it's not your full-time job.
Yep.
Takes a little bit of time.
Yep.
So adding that into the schedule is very beneficial for me to have extra time.
Yes.
To work on stuff. So I'm very appreciative of you being understanding of us recording ahead.
So let's get back into this ego thing, because now my brain is churning about some of the shit that, happened throughout my childhood that I think really disrupted my ability to stay in my metaphysical gifts, right? We've talked about this on a couple different podcasts where like we both knew we were highly attuned at an early age. And I know for me, when I got into high school, well, probably before that, when I really got into middle school, I just stopped tuning in to anything that was outside of what I knew. I just was like, getting into middle school. So it was like, not so much about being popular, but I just wanted to fit in. I didn't want to be popular, but I didn't want to be a dork. I didn't want to get picked on.
I mean, our girls are doing the same thing right now.
Totally. But I just stopped pretending, using imaginative play. Like I will say that I started getting into different types of music at that age. And I remember not being influenced, but I remember a lot of my friends were really into alternative and I could not get into it.
What did you listen to?
Well, I liked the Smashing Pumpkins. I did not love them. I really liked them. I had a girlfriend that was obsessed with Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails.
Yes, right here.
And I also was like, no. Like, it just was not my vibe. Like, it just was not my type of music.
I totally had an old man crush on Trent Reznor when I was younger.
So did she.
Yeah.
And I will say now, like, knowing more about Trent Reznor and he's just an amazing and talented artist.
Yeah.
But the music still was, like, not really my vibe. And I remember just being like, why can't I get into this? Why can't I be cool like these grunge kids? Like, I remember I had a pair of Jenkos, never knew how to wear them. And I was a beanpole. I was short, but I had no weight on me at all. And I could not fit in.
When you're a little thing like that, the answer is a tube top. You wear them with a tube top.
Well, and I was never allowed. I was more like Mary would put me in a turtleneck and a blazer from Talbot's. Okay.
Your turtleneck, your blazer, and your Jenkos.
My Jenkos.
That should be our next photo shoot.
Oh, God. My mom brought a photo album this weekend when she came, and I was looking through it and I was like, Mom, why did you keep my hair cut this way? I just look like a boy. I just feel like I did not come into my own until I was in high school,
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get cute till I was 30, so I feel that.
I don't know. I'm ready to peak now. Let's peak.
Right.
Let's fucking go.
God, what was that kid? There was a while where I looked like the kid from Third Rock from the Sun. What the hell is his name?
Oh God, not JTT.
No,
but he has multiple names too.
He does. I bet you our one friend is sitting here screaming at the podcast right now. His name is, remember she texted us one time?
Oh, yes.
Because he's done a bunch of other stuff. That's just what I remember in my mind is him having this like hair with this middle part.
That's very straight.
And even though I didn't have straight hair, but for whatever reason. It's the second time we talked about him now. Do you have an old man crush on John Lithgow?
No. I feel like it is not Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
It's not JTT.
I know, but do you want the first, second, or third? Because all you're going to need is one, and you're going to go.
I don't know. Give me the first one.
Joseph.
Yeah, that didn't fucking do it. Was he on Winnie the Pooh? Because
no, he was not. Gordon.
Oh, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yes.
Fuckle sticks.
Oh, interesting. John Lithgow's brother, Ian Lithgow, was also on Third Rock from the Sun. How about that?
So,
French Stewart. Remember that dude?
yeah.
I don't think he did much after that. Anyways.
So you feel like you blossomed in your high school years?
Oh, no.
Your 20s.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely peaked in my 20s. And I feel like I'm just now really starting to remove my ego from so many different areas of my life, you know, where I let the ego rule for so long. Well, so I'm just really starting to do a lot of shadow work.
Right. Ego can show up in so many ways.
It can. And if you let it be a constant, then it's just always there. And when you start being more spiritual minded and like moving out of your ego and leaning into fear, then it throws tantrums, because it's like right now I have been leaning into so many cosmic opportunities and just saying, fuck it, I'm doing this. I'm following my intuition. I'm not listening to my ego. I'm listening to my intuition, and my ego has been throwing temper tantrums.
Right. And so the ego likes to be validated.
Mm-hmm.
So one way that I like to kind of transition from that space is the reminder that alignment and authenticity at my core is going to lead me where I need to be.
Yes.
Right. That's how I'm going to make my life choices.
Mm-hmm.
Is through alignment and authenticity, which is, I think, the same thing that we try to do with our podcast too.
100%.
Right. That's why it's so fucking
111%. 222%.
444%. Okay, so I have some tips that I want to share. If you are kind of starting down this journey of shadow work and trying to figure out where ego fits in your life and where you kind of want to pull back from, I do have some like prompts for you.
There you go.
So the first thing I would say is to just try to put a name to what your toxic habits or addictions might be.
Mm.
And then after you have them written down, maybe think about how can you make those healthy, right? So if you feel the need to be right,
flip it down and reverse it.
Right. Second, Missy Elliott, coming in strong.
Yep.
So instead of I need to be right, it's I can reflect and see two versions of the truth. Right. And we're in Gemini season right now. So that's a good exercise for the Geminis out there, the twins in the world. And then also, how can I be kinder to myself? In what ways do I consciously or unconsciously punish myself? And a really good friend of mine was in town last week and we had a pickleball date. So much fun. Have you played pickleball?
I have not.
It's like ping pong, but you stand on a table. But giant ping pong.
It's like ping pong, but you play on a court.
Yeah. But
I was literally like, I've never seen anyone standing on a giant table.
You should have seen us.
I was like, wow. I did not know that.
To be fair, that was my husband.
How did it come up with that name, though?
Husband's
Pickleball
description of it. So I don't know why we think anything.
That's Charlie's description of it. I mean, it does give me a really good visualization. I just also envision us not seeing the edge of the table and just falling.
I mean, rightfully
so. that would not.
I don't know how pickleball got its name, but I know that the group chat between her husband and her and Charlie and I has been rampant with pickle jokes.
Naturally. Well, now I need to look this up.
Yeah, I guess we need to go to the history of pickleball.
So anyway, talk to us about your pickleball experience.
So my girlfriend and I were talking, and her husband is also a Gemini. And she was like, oh, I see his evil twin side come out sometime. Like, she's known me for 20 some years now. She's, I've never seen your evil twin side.
My angels just sent me a message.
Oh, what did they say?
It says your direction matters more than your speed.
Oh, fuck yes. I mean, that's probably also something somebody with a small penis would say, but I appreciate the message.
Or like a really long, narrow one on a pickleball court.
Pickles on pickles, girl.
Pickles on a ping pong court.
Sorry, not sorry, chef.
Oh, man. Let's go.
Anyway, so she was asking me about my shadow, like evil twin side, because she's never seen that. And I was like, yeah, because it's 100% turned inward. Like that evil twin is there and that bitch is real, but she's not faced outward towards anybody. It's like 100% inward. So that's like my big,
which is also not great
struggle.
Yeah.
Right?
It's interesting too, because I feel like what you just said is so true. And like we hang out enough that I would also agree with that statement. Like I've even asked you, I'm like, do you ever yell ever? Because sometimes Krystyn will be around me and I'm like barking at the kids. Like, I mean, my ego self and shadow self is so right there next to me.
Right.
Like I sometimes, I mean, both has its advantages and disadvantages.
Right.
Like mine is very much able to be viewed by the world. I am triggered a lot more easily to not have reactions. Like I'm such a reactionary person because I'm a Scorpio and I'm so emotionally triggered.
Right.
So if something happens and I am emotionally activated,
yeah,
it's a lot.
See, when I get emotionally activated like that, I immediately criticize myself and turn that inwards. And that's just like a daily practice of learning how to not do that. So while I might not be reactionary on the outside,
mm-hmm.
I still have that reaction.
Sure.
It's just a really hard inner dialogue.
Yeah.
That I'm like constantly struggling with.
Yeah.
But I have like affirmations and I have practices that I do daily to like really help me move through those places.
And I think it's important for our listeners to also just talk a little bit about timelines here, because it's like energetic cords too. And we can have cords to ourselves. And when naturally that's going to be a very, very layered cord. Everybody's journey when it comes to doing shadow work is different and will be like it's like a constant thing where the more energy you spend doing it, the better it gets every single time.
Oh my God, turn around really slowly.
Okay.
Wait, hold on.
I can see something.
Shit, where did it go? Oh, it's right there. Oh, that's my peeping Tom.
Oh my God. That's a sign, right?
Yeah.
Would you like to be on the podcast?
They don't have boundaries. They come right up.
This isn't the first time?
No, the very first night I moved into this house, I woke up in the morning and I didn't have any furniture or anything outside, and it was just standing on the patio staring at me while I slept. I have no clue what you were saying before this, but all of a sudden I saw this furry face right behind you.
That's my shadow self.
Yeah,
Remember how I said it's always just like right there?
That peeping deer watching you sleep naked.
I was just saying about timelines. Like how, like you do this work and yours goes internal, mine's external. But like even when it shows up for me, I am like hyper aware of why is that so triggering? Like I even said something to the kids the other day on Saturday. I was like, listen, because we were battling. Like I had an idea of what I wanted to get accomplished before we left and did this fun thing for the day. Oh, I wanted to go to Mingo. And they were bitching up a storm about it. Right? Can we go with my friends? And I was like, nature is magical. I just want to be outside with you and have a magical fucking experience. And I just was doing this whole thing. And then finally I was like, guys, I don't know why this is making me so upset, but I only have so much time with you guys at this age. And we have this beautiful day ahead of us. And there's always an opportunity to do things with friends, but it's really important that our nucleus, our family does this stuff together. And instead of yelling about it and yelling at them, I like actively engaged with having more of a conversation where I was like, I am really struggling to understand why you guys don't want to do this with me. And it was so much better.
I have a lot of conversations with Evie, honestly. We talk about everything.
Yeah.
And I think that it's definitely beneficial both for her and for me.
Totally. It's better.
Because
Yeah.
I also talk to her about the parts of myself that I hide away because I don't want her to have an unrealistic expectation of thinking that I'm perfect or like any of these things, because she also struggles with the perfectionism. And a few years ago, she got into this place where she was so hard on herself that if she did anything that she perceived or deemed as wrong, she would like, I could just see that inner evil twin coming out, but she was voicing it, right? So we really started to have a lot of conversation about, hey, these are the kind of conversations that I have had or the feelings that I've had, and this is how I move through it. And showing our kids that we are just as vulnerable as they are can be a fucking parenting superpower.
It is. And giving them the language and the vocabulary that they need to express into words. Because I have struggled with Graham where I'm like, why did you do XYZ? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, but that's the thing. We do know. So let's just explore this a little bit more. Right. And it's not from a reprimanding standpoint. It's from a understanding standpoint. Right. And, you know, that's the part about parenting that I feel like they don't talk a lot about anywhere, which is how kids trigger us. They just do. They don't mean to, but they trigger us. And that like how we react to it and how we process it is it's influential, right? Everyone always says like our parents fuck us up in some way, shape, or form, even if we have like really good childhoods.
Our kids are going to end up in therapy for something.
Like it's the same thing, right? Because you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And yeah, you can read all the fucking books you want, but like real life is real life. And so I just think that it's such a beautiful exercise that I am so grateful to be walking through now, that I can do it with my kids, that can hopefully open them up to understanding what it means to be on a different spiritual level, what it means to be vibrating at a higher frequency, and what it means to have that. Because Graham especially, and even with Emmy too, she's, God, I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? And I'm like, you're not stupid. And you did it because you're human. I was like, this is, you know, whatever that conversation looks like, whether they're being, you know, there's a reprimand or a consequence for something they did or didn't do, or they're just reacting out of just pure, you know, just having that human, because it's easy to react out of anger for ourselves when, you know, if something doesn't go our way.
Well, as much as we have core beliefs that are positive, we also have core beliefs that exist within our shadow selves. And I think a really good exercise that can be done by ourselves, but also with our family, is to pick one of those core beliefs and write it down, right? The core belief that I am not enough at whatever, right? Like whatever you might be feeling, or I am hard to love because of whatever, or I don't deserve X, Y, and Z. And start to establish, like, instead of constantly avoiding those shadow thoughts, those are the thoughts that are on repeat in our brain.
Yes.
That are keeping us from manifesting abundance, from reaching our higher self. And if you're always avoiding them, you're going to just continue to repeat the cycle. So you really have to dig in and acknowledge that you have core beliefs that exist that don't serve you.
Yes. And that you most likely were given without your fucking permission.
Right. And then you can go down the path of, well, why do I have these beliefs? Right. And how is this serving you? Or this is something that I had learned from my somatic therapist, was I have this amazing arsenal of tools. And I have really, really finely honed coping mechanisms because of traumas that I have been through in my life. And those coping mechanisms have served me very well. For me to be sitting here. And be present. And not be fucking psycho. Right? But those coping mechanisms also become conditioned tendencies. And those conditioned tendencies want to live in the front seat. And I was really in this place where I started working with her. Right. Where I thought that I had to, I was all the work I was doing was like release, cut. Like, how do I release them? Why can't I get rid of them? What's going on? And then it was the belief that all of those coping mechanisms and strategies can still live within me because they served a purpose at one time, but they don't have to rule my life.
No.
I can put them in the trunk.
Yep.
I can grab them. If something happens, I know I have them.
Yep.
I can go back and I can grab that coping mechanism and I can use it if I have to.
Yep.
But I don't have to leave it ruling my life.
Right.
And so that was like the first time I had really ever put 2 and 2 together that was like, oh, there's not something wrong with me because I can't just purge this tendency out of my life. Right. Which I just thought, oh, this is, well, Krystyn, that's another thing you're fucking up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you just you can't figure it out. Like,
yeah. I think the key thing too, when you're doing shadow work or ego work is just being intentional about it and trying to be as much in a good headspace as you possibly can be. I would say if you're in a vulnerable place or if you're working through some stuff, that this is probably not the season of your life that you need to also be doing that, because it can trigger other things. It can bring up things that you thought were gone or dormant. So, you just want to make sure that when you go to do some of this work that you do an internal gut check and just kind of say, ask your spirit guides, ask your guardian angels, ask, God, is this the right time for me to do some of this work? Because they'll guide you too and give you insight if you're feeling a little, should I not,
Well, really, and that kind of leads into what would be one of the next prompts that you can do, which is what personal needs do you need to tend to, right? And just notate what those are.
Yeah.
Because, maybe those personal needs are going to kind of like wrap back into that,
There's so much too that you can research and you can look into when it comes to doing some of this too. And if you're like, I don't know where to start, if you go to YouTube, you can find guided meditations that kind of walk you through this, that kind of do what you're talking about, where there's prompts, or you can do different exercises that you can look up too that, help you to start to understand. There's plenty of books. There's so much out there. There's so many resources at your fingertips, but it's definitely something that I don't think is talked about as much as it should be, like mainstream wise, And
we're here to, honestly, we want to see you all thrive. I can speak for myself in saying that if you are like me and you feel like you're really good at showing up for others, but you fall short of showing up for yourself, you can still move forward. You don't have to stay in that space. And that growth process just takes some time.
Yeah.
But reach out to us because we do really care.
We do. And, just having grace, finding.
What does that mean to you?
Having grace?
Yeah.
It's being able to go back to a peaceful place and not put so much pressure on myself to be perfect in every single way.
Right.
I really only came to fully absorb having grace after becoming a mom, when it was like the bare necessities need to be done. Make sure you feed yourself, make sure you drink water, make sure you feed the baby, make sure you change the baby, make sure you sleep. It was like anything outside of that, you just let it go.
Isn't it amazing how there's experiences in life that open that up for you to be able to like really live in that simplicity?
But truly absorbing it, and walking, being able to walk through your house and see the chaos and see what one would call a disaster and saying, that can wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like I have to prioritize the basic things for me to be a thriving, present.
Well, but that can change from person to person too.
Oh,
so
for sure.
For you, you like really have this great ability to do that. I struggle to do that because I feel like I have to have, like when I have too much clutter, I don't have any mental clarity at all. And I know Charlie struggles with it sometimes, but we had an experience this weekend where, again, we had a crazy weekend. We were like, run, go.
No downtime.
No, none at all. And I mean, we slept in our beds. That was pretty much it. That was the only time we were home. And he was like rushing around the one day, trying to like clean stuff, do stuff. He's, oh my God, I don't have this much time. Like in the morning before the swim meet. And then because he had the Steel Line audition, so he had to run this weekend, all the things. And I looked at him and I was like, okay, I need you to prioritize like what it is that you need to do. Cause right now you're just like, rushing around doing something.
Totally.
And he was like, like it was the pathway, like in the entrance of our house. And he was like, I literally can't even think about what I need to do because every time I walk in and out, I trip on a shoe. And he was like, for him, he's like, this is my priority right here, right now. I have to clean this. Then I can sit down. I was like, okay, cool. Do what you need to do. Right.
Yep.
And for some of us, and you know, he does have ADHD. So that's, you know, like a little bit of part of that.
Right.
That he needs to clear that clutter.
And I think that there's something about accomplishing a project in a short period of time that also like checks off like a mental block or a mental checklist in your brain. Like, I got that done.
Right.
Because the other thing that I've struggled with, because I'm so hands-on and I was raised by two chefs that are physically hands-on with what their work is, right? You are preparing food, you're prepping food, you're cooking food, you're clean, you know, you're doing all this stuff with your hands, that I grew up physically associating work with physical movement. And so even now, sometimes yesterday I said I meditated. I did 3 different meditations.
I love that so much.
And I really just needed to be in my own space. And I was in bed probably from, 3 until 8 or 9 at night, just like reading, meditating, resting. But I was allowing myself to do that and not feeling like I have to physically be doing something.
I also think that on the other side of this, the shadow work is activating our light energy. And so we know we can't have the light without the dark. And I think it's really important that when we're diving into one side, that we also activate that other side. And so I would challenge you guys to do some visualization exercises where you're just imagining a light come down from the universe or the divine, whatever speaks to you, and just filling you up, right? It's this really high vibrational energy and light. And you can do some visualization there. Another way that you can activate that light energy, and I know Charlie listens to a lot of podcasts where they talk about the health benefits, and both mental and physical, of getting sunlight in your eyes early in the morning. And so spending time in the sunrise and just going outside and allowing all of that sunlight to illuminate you from within.
Yes.
Right? And
also helps with your circadian rhythm.
Right. And then again, like we've talked about, practicing your gratitude is another way to really activate that light energy.
Being a light worker is, it's such a gift. And I can't tell you how many people I have done readings for in the past 3 weeks where they've been like, that's so cool that you're gifted. And I immediately respond with, you're gifted too. Everybody comes gifted. Everybody has the ability to be a light worker if they take the time and the energy to activate it, to raise that vibration, to put it out there that being a light worker is just, it's being something bigger than yourself. It's utilizing energy outside of yourself. It's that universal energy that exists for all of us, that universal love.
Yeah. And
we all have the ability to give people light, give ourselves light, and move in a way that creates amazing, wonderful things to happen around us as a collective or individually too. And, so anybody that says, right. I'm not intuitive. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
100% you are. And I think that if you are willing to be still enough to listen to the truth, then you're going to hear those messages. If we're constantly running from the truth of our life, it's going to be really hard to tune into our gifts.
Yes.
right? And if we're willing or still enough to just listen, they're all around us all the time.
Yeah, I heard there's a lot of metaphors out there that can paint a picture of what the ego is and then the subconscious mind. I think the easiest one to use, for us right now as you guys are listening is if you think about the ocean, on the surface of the ocean, it can be a lot of chaos, right? It can be just a lot of activity happening. There's waves crashing. There's all kinds of fish jumping in and out of the water. There's boats. There's just so much that can happen on the surface of the water. But if you go down into the ocean, it is calm as a cucumber, right? And that's kind of how the ego works, right? Like the ego creates chaos. The ego creates noise that makes it difficult for us to actually fucking hear what it is that we need to hear. But when you calm your mind and you remove the ego, then you can start to really have smooth waters and
right, because the waves are not the ocean.
Right. So just use that. And if you are an angel believer, you can 100% call on your guardian angels and your archangels to come in and help you remove your ego. So you can always ask for their help and guidance, and they will be happy to step in and lend you a hand or a wing.
And I just want you to remember that the voice of the ego comes at you. It does not come through you. Mm-hmm. And there is
the ego's always yelling.
There's a nuance to hearing that, right?
Yep.
And if you start to activate those parts of yourself, you're going to start to realize when you're an ego and when you're not.
Yep, for sure.
Even if you don't, just recognize it. Even if you don't move out of it.
Right.
Even if you're like, I'm not in a place to even move out of ego.
Yep.
I'm just gonna sit here for a minute. That's cool too.
Totally.
If that's where you're at in your journey.
Yep.
But just starting to recognize it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that is such an important key too. I'm glad you brought that up, Krystyn, because I think sometimes it's just being aware of what is and how we're wired, right? Because we're humans having a spiritual experience, we're spiritual beings having a human experience.
Right.
Let me flip it down and reverse it.
Missy Elliott is really getting plugged on this episode.
I love Missy.
I know. She's great.
She's so great. So this is definitely a topic that it means so much. We do this stuff. I do this on the regular now where I am hyper aware of it. I want to be a better version of myself. Therefore, when it does come up, I am, okay, great. Let's dig into this. Let's dig into this. And how to work on it and how to change. So
it's exciting to be here with you guys for another episode.
Yes. Of Two Mystic Mamas.
She gave me the 2 thumbs up. Wrapping it up.
Wrapping this up.
We love you guys.
We sure do. Hey, bye.